Welcome back to Her Perspective. For many women, singleness has been known to be a disease, a disability, a curse, something many women don't want to be in. Women often behave as if it's not okay to be single. However, in today's episode, we'll be focusing on appreciating living singly before entering into relationships. Joining us to discuss this topic are Ms. Nadine Campbell, News, Sports and Current Affairs Manager, Ms. Keisha Francis, host of Children's Time, aired on NCU FM, and Ms. Geraldine Pinnock, Director of the Training and Consultancy Services Unit at Northern Caribbean University.
Ladies, thank you for joining us. We want to get right to the matter. Is singleness a blessing or a curse? And Jerry, we want to start with you.
A blessing or a curse?
Tell us.
It depends. I think I want to, it's sort of hard. I think curse is a very strong word.
Okay.
I don't think I like curse. Singleness is inconvenient at times. I think I prefer to say that.
Okay, right here.
And if you say it's a blessing in that there are many things you can do that you couldn't if you were not single. If you were not single. But then again, exactly what is singleness? Widowed, divorced, never married, almost married, hopeful. Which is it? Keisha,
Yes.
Singleness. How would you define singleness?
Well, I believe that once you're in a relationship, you're not single.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
So for me, I am not single. I am in a relationship. So I'll just make that clear.
Okay.
Except when you go on the airplane to sign a piece of paper, you have the status single or
Well,
married
yes,
or divorced.
Yes.
In that case, if when you have to fill up a form and it asks for your marital status,
There's no section
what
for
are
that.
you going to write?
Well, I would write single. However, if I meet someone who, is trying to show an interest in me and they were to ask, are you single? I would say no.
Okay.
I'm in a relationship.
Okay.
She's singly committed.
So here, Nadine.
She is single, but not available.
Okay.
Which may be a different matter.
Which
at
means
that
I'm
point.
not free, single, and
disengaged.
That's
Yes.
assuming one was engaged before. Always have a single and disengaged thing. But single is really a wide definition, but narrow.
Yes.
Right.
It's an unmarried woman.
Okay.
In this context,
In this context, because
right.
we can, even in the context of marriage, say there's some married women who are living a relatively single life because their partner is just not relevant or present or at home or engaged in the relationship.
Okay.
So, single, unmarried woman. I think it's easy if we go with the standard definition.
A woman who is not married.
For the sake of clarity.
Right.
My thoughts.
But question though, do you think it's a blessing or a curse?
Oh dear. Everything has its plus and its minus. And I think Jerry probably alluded to that. In that, in your single state, if you are content in the condition in which you find yourself, then you will see the blessings in it and live a full, wholesome life. And if you're desirous of a relationship, you will, as a whole, fully actualized person, enter into a relationship with someone as a whole, fully actualized person. If you're a single person and really just totally distressed with being alone in the world and not wanting to be ever by yourself and really not liking even your own company, then it may not necessarily be a good idea to be going into a relationship because you're going to be having that person as being the be-all and end-all of your life. So, not a simple matter, I think. Not a simple one.
Keisha, you wanted to comment?
Sure. I don't believe that being single is a curse, and I don't believe that it's a blessing. I would say it's neither. I believe being single is a state of being. Okay. Because at some point of your life, you'd have to be single. You will be single. So I'd say it's neither.
Right, but what... Oh, go ahead, Sister
I was
Brenda.
going to say then, would you follow on by saying then that individuals need to be comfortable with being single?
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
You have to be comfortable with being alone, being, enjoying your company before you go, in a relationship with someone else.
I find it very interesting persons who grew up in large households with many siblings, like 10 or 9 siblings, and who long to get away from all of these people in their house, look forward. Many of the friends I have who had large family members or grew up in large families wanted to just get away from this household full of people and be by themselves. People like me, who was the last of 6 and who grew up as the only child in the house for my entire life because my siblings were 30 and 20 years older than I and started their lives before I was born.
Right.
I long to have people at home. So when I was on my own, I filled up my house with people. You know, like, oh, good, yes, I now have people, not just mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
So again, it depends on where you're coming from.
Do you think, though, that everyone is meant to be married? In light of what we've been discussing, Keisha said singleness is a state of being. Do you think that in order for one to be complete, a woman to be complete, she should be married? Is everyone meant to be married?
I don't think so.
Yes, tell us, Jerry.
There are some people who, because everyone else is getting married, they rush into marriage. So they wear a wedding band and they're referred to as Mrs., but they're not comfortable and they're unhappy. So you don't have to be married to be complete. But it has its perks, you know. It does have its perks.
Keisha.
You know what just came to me? The fact that while Adam was in the garden, God see that he needed someone. He needed a companion. And so he gave him Eve, right?
Yes.
So God knows that, God knew from then that we need someone to, you know, help to make us complete.
A helpmeet.
A helpmeet, right? Okay. So could it be that a man cannot do without a woman, but a woman can do without a man?
Well, that's the question that you should be answering. God said it was good for man not to be alone, but
Yes,
he didn't say it's
good.
He said it's good for man not to be alone.
Right.
So for the woman, I know. Yeah. The fact of the matter is, even in our churches, I know we're not limiting this discussion to our churches, but you do find a lot of single women in the church, and the cry is that there are hardly any males in the church, or the little percentage that is there, they're already married or probably divorced, or not really committed in their Christian walk, or they're not educationally there. What are your views on this, Jerry?
You know, we have a little bit of a problem. You know, I think really what ought to happen is this, that you have, of course this is foolishness, you have in your mind what you want that perfect person to be. And there's no such thing, except you're going to get a big oak tree or a cedar tree and cut that person out to do everything that you want them to do. Because I have my quirks, I have my idiosyncrasies, I have things that will definitely drive a man crazy. And I don't mean good crazy, I mean crazy. And he will probably have some things about him that I'm saying, Lord, help me to be able to deal with him and this problem. You probably go into the marriage, and this is where a lot of people make mistakes. Women, do not go into a relationship trying to change anybody.
Okay.
You can't do that. They might pretend to change for a time, but after a while it's going to come back and haunt you. Well, I sort of skirted around the issue of being married once. And I actually started the process, you know.
Well, it sounds like an application.
But
You started the process, or he started the process? Or
No,
the process
was going, man. The process was going on because my mother started to decide, you know, how mothers are. Okay, we're going to have this, that, what have you. But then he, unfortunately, he died. And what has happened since is that every soul that walks in my general direction, oops, the one that died, let's call him Bob.
Right.
It's a hallmark.
I spend the whole time
Trying to find
somebody who is Bob.
Okay.
And that's not going to work. You know, it's a very ticklish situation. And then I have an added problem. I'm not exactly 4 feet tall,
Right.
and I have a certain bearing that can be intimidating for some people. So there are times when I see a fine fellow that I would like to say, you know, that would be a good person to spend the rest of my life with. But I'm not going to approach, or the person might want to approach, and
There's something.
You know.
Yeah.
But I am happy being single, but my marital status is hopeful.
Praise the Lord.
One of
Right.
these
Praise
days,
the Lord.
the right person will come. The Lord will tell me. And even if I'm 72, I'm
Which
just
you're
about-
not. Which you're
No,
not.
no,
You're just
no,
saying,
I'm just
you're just
at
saying.
about 46. I have a couple more years
Yeah, man.
to go.
We're sure.
Okay, ladies, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we want to look at what are some of the challenges that single persons have to address in 2012.
And some of the joys.
And some of the joys, okay, darling.